Military insurgency started as we speak. Now, I will explain to you more in details about the whole situation, and I will share with you 4 different sources to back up my claim. But before I move on, just to remind you guys, most of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. If you're one of them, consider subscribing. The risk of an insurgency and the need for a sustained military presence that contradicts President Trump's stated desire to avoid foreign conflicts, military expert says. So basically, they are firing the warning shot that there is going to be a military insurgency taking place very, very soon in Gaza, especially if United States decide to send its troops. The situation in Gaza makes it fertile ground to grow the sort of open-ended and costly conflicts the US waded into its invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan, which cost US taxpayers trillions of dollars and resulted in the deaths of hundreds and thousands of civilians and soldiers. To be sure, Mr. Trump has not committed to sending US forces into Gaza as part of his vision to clear the Palestinian territory, all of its residences, and then embark on an unprecedented reconstruction project to turn it into a vision, what he called Riviera of the Middle East. Yet on Tuesday, he said he would send troops into Gaza if it is necessary. His Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said while welcoming Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Pentagon. To the question of Gaza, the definition of insanity is attempting to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So basically, this guy Pete, he actually assured his his shaitan friend Netanyahu, that don't worry about anything, we are going to back you up, everything that you're doing, we are going to be with you. Alex Pete Sauce, the head of the Atlantic Council's counterterrorism project and a former chief of sensitive activities for special operations and combating terrorism in the office of the Secretary of Defense, said Mr. Trump's suggestion that the US can somehow clear and rebuild Gaza assumes a massive level of US military and economic involvement, but the president has not outlined who will pay for the endeavor, and any US troop presence would quickly incur American casualties, something Mr. Trump's isolationist voters are unlikely to tolerate for long, as any Palestinians remaining in Gaza after a forced displacement would almost certainly take up arms against an occupying power. Now, they are not taking or going to take up arms. The resistant forces, they already have taken up arms. I will actually share with you something else very, very interesting in regards to this. We learned from Iraq and very clearly that a counterinsurgency operation is extremely costly in terms of blood and treasure, and we saw the significant loss of life and civilian population that was caught in the middle. Mr. Plitzas said. So he's basically a military analyst, and this is what he's predicting. And he said, quote, and you would need to make a long-term strategic commitment to a country to see that, though, and there would be a lot of suffering that takes place in the process. And we know Mr. Plitzas said several military divisions up to 100,000 troops would be needed to take hold and clear Gaza, and that's just the security piece. You have the reconstruction piece of it as well, and the governance as nation building, which would also entail other elements of the U.S. government, he noted. John Spencer, chair of urban warfare studies at the Modern War Institute, also said it would require a commitment of tens of thousands of soldiers arriving by land and sea for a mission that would take a long time, depending on the extent to which Hamas has been eradicated or laid down their arms. Of course, Hamas, they did not lay down their arms. We have seen that throughout the genocide of 15 months. And Hamas was not eradicated. They did not lay down their weapon whatsoever. The enemy gets a vote, said Mr. Spencer, who has toured Gaza 4 times while the Israeli military since October 7. If it's active combat, it takes a long time. That has to be acknowledged. He said Israeli troops had predominantly cleared urban areas, then left them again. The U.S. military mission would have to clear such spaces, hold them, and then defuse any unexploded Israeli bombs or booby traps by Hamas. Mr. Spencer said making any area safe for reconstruction would be a hugely intricate undertaking, as buildings and rubble would need to be cleared along with any Hamas tunnels underneath. Basically, what they are suggesting, these military experts, is this: it is impossible, guys, for United States to do the job in Gaza the way Donald Trump believes he can, simply because of what they will have to go through, in addition to clearing the area, in addition to spending billions and trillions of dollars, who knows how much they're willing to spend. They will have to go through many other challenges, and this is what was resonated by Shank Wager. Take a listen.
is absolutely insane. Trump just did a press conference with Benjamin Netanyahu, and he said that we will take over Gaza, America will, and that we will clean it out for Israel, and that we will clear out all the unexploded bombs. So we paid for bombs that killed innocent Palestinians, and now we have to go and clean them out with our soldiers, U.S. citizens, so that the precious, precious, precious Israelis don't die for their own war. Americans die for their war. And then he says we're going to move all of the Palestinians out of Gaza. That's 2.2 million people. First of all, that is literally the definition of ethnic cleansing. Second of all, how are we going to move them out? And you think they're just going to go along with it? Or do you think maybe they might resist that? And
well, they will resist that. There is no doubt about that. And Hamas, their leadership, they have already said that we are actually going to be taking up arms, and that some of its fighters are already being mobilized throughout Gaza Strip, especially in northern Gaza. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you take a look at recent activities of Hamas, they are very, very active in West Bank at the moment. They're trying to infiltrate that area. They're also very, very active in Gaza. As we have seen, when the hostages are being released, we see hundreds and thousands of Hamas fighters escorting those hostages, Israeli hostages. They are on the street. They're talking to the people. They are setting up all kind of traps in case US sends its troops or Israel comes back. So they are not sitting duck. They are actually doing things, and they have already started planning about this insurgency that will take place once US sends those troops, if they do. Hamas official Sami Abu Zahari said on Wednesday, February, that US President Donald Trump's remarks about taking over the Gaza Strip ridiculous and absurd and could destabilize West Asia. So this guy Abu Zuhri, he's the Hamas official Sami Abu Zuhri. He already fired the warning shot against Israel and also United States, especially to Donald Trump, that look, whatever you're doing is absurd, is bizarre. We're not going to go anywhere, and in case if you decide to send your troops to Gaza, we're going to confront you. And they are preparing for it. Don't think that Hamas is just sitting there and doing nothing. They are preparing for it as we speak. Trump's remarks about his desire to control Gaza are ridiculous and absurd, and any ideas of this kind of capable of igniting the region. Okay, so this is what is coming from Hamas's officials, but not the fighters. The fighters are ready, preparing for a war. Now, here is where I think it is something that we need to all pay attention to, and that is this one. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, let me read it first. Prince Mohammed bin Salman told U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken that he does not personally care about what he referred to as the Palestinian issue, quote unquote, according to a report in The Atlantic. Published on Wednesday, the report gave a picture of 11 months of Washington's negotiation effort in the region after the outbreak of war in Gaza, citing 24 participants at the highest levels of government in America and across Middle East. It stated that during a visit to Saudi Arabia in January, Blinken and the Crown Prince met in Saudi city of Al Ula to discuss the prospect of the Gulf Kingdom normalizing relations with Israel amid the ongoing Israeli war on Gaza. Okay. You can see clearly that MBS, he said, I do not care, I do not give a damn about the people of Palestine, because that's not something bothers me personally. So why I said we are together here, it is because they are together. So let me make this very, very clear. The reason Donald Trump is pushing this agenda that US will take over Gaza, the reason he's doing that US will send troops if necessary, is because he wants us to believe it. So he's going to push this as much as he can, as far as he can, until he believes that we, the people, are convinced that he's going to do it. So he's going to be saying, remember he said that Saudi Arabia is going to drop their demand for two-state solution? He was right. He knows it. He will do it. And let me tell you how he will do it. How he will make Saudi Arabia, or maybe Saudi Arabia already dropped that demand. Who knows? But this is how he will do it. So once he's convinced, that people are convinced in US and also throughout the world, that Trump is going to send US troops into Gaza, then comes the kicker. Then comes the announcement. Oh, we have to normalize our relationship with Israel because Trump gave us this condition. If we do so, then he will not displace the people of Gaza. So we have to normalize. See, we are actually working for the people of Palestine. We care for them. We do not want them to be ethnically cleansed. We want them to stay in Gaza. We are making a big sacrifice for them. So how we do that? We are going to normalize our relation with Israel, and Trump is going to drop the demand of displacing Gazans. And that same poem will be recited by both Jordanian King Abdullah and Abdul Fattah Sisi from Egypt. All of the Arab leaders will get together and make a statement that we have achieved huge victory by convincing Trump not to send troops into Gaza and not to ethnically cleanse them. What we have offered Donald Trump in return, so the Israel normalization. Guys, this is exactly what you will hear very, very soon from Saudi government, from the Arab leaders, because they have never cared about the people of Palestine. This is what was already established. MBS personally doesn't care about the people of Palestine. He said it. Now, obviously, later on he denied. He said, "Oh, I didn't say that." He said it. He said it, and we know it. He doesn't even have to say it. We know it because of his action. He did nothing. Abdul Fattah Sisi doesn't have to say anything. Jordan King Abdullah doesn't have to say anything because we have seen what they did during this genocide. Nothing. They in fact encouraged this genocide. They helped Israel with this genocide by stopping Iranian missiles falling into Israel. We have seen it. They do not have to make any statement on that and try to convince us otherwise. Guys, this is becoming a huge problem and nightmare for the people of Gaza, for the people of Palestine. And guess what? We're going to keep on talking about this and exposing Trump's lies and sow this hypocrisy as much as we can.